when you go to these tax auctions, and I would invite you to attend some of them. They sell land. I even saw selling cabanas by the pool. They sell, those little pieces of land where the billboards are. Don't you think those little pieces of land where the billboard is allowed to be are worth a lot of money? I went to an auction once, and I didn't know about this, right? This was 20, 30 years ago. And I didn't know. And they were auctioning off these pieces of land, like in the middle of intersections and things like that, for like $100, $200. And on some of them, there were these billboards. And I was like, why would anybody buy that? Just imagine anything on this land, the billboard, you get that too, and you don't have to pay for it because it's already zoned and ready for that. So now going back to the tax property, you're going to come across a lot of these pieces of land where people don't want this land. And I actually came across an investor. That's what he buys. It's only land that is tax delinquent. And his other strategy is he wants to buy land only on water, even if it's in rural areas, on rivers, on lakes, on streams, and so forth. And he buys super cheap. Okay, pennies on the dollars. And the thing is, he sells this land really for 50, 60% of the value, but he buys it for nothing. Sometimes he gets it for free. OTC, when your land goes back to the city, so the city then doesn't know what to do. Remember the example I talked earlier where I bought this land for $1, right? This was land that went back to the city, and the city said, I don't know what to do with this land. And when the developer come along, they said, just give me $1 because there has to be some monetary consideration to make this a valid deal. And they sell the land. So some of the things I would suggest you do is look for tax delinquent land, tax delinquent property, either before it goes to auctions or after the auction, which is called OTC. Another thing I did with land is buying at auctions. And at auctions, actually one time, this is really cool, I bought this building and there was this piece of land next to it. I didn't even know I bought that land. And I bought the land, so all of a sudden I had this building, a piece of land to it. The city asked me, says, we want the land to build a dog park. And we're going to give you a tax break for the next 10 years if you give us the land. So naturally, yeah, of course, right? So I was not going to do anything with this land in the middle of the city. It was next to the building that I bought at auction. So that's really good. Other things you can do is like when you go around, driving for dollars or around neighborhoods, you come across all these little pieces of land in between houses. And a lot of times this land is honestly kind of forgotten. I came across a lot of land where it was owned by people, they inherited it, but they didn't really want it. They didn't know what to do with it, right? And they see this, okay, yeah, just take it off my hands. So if you're interested in new construction, if you're interested in, doing something like redevelopment or even rezoning land, definitely look up vacant lands as you're out there driving around. We actually had a student, Danielle. She was investing in the Tampa area, and she stumbled across some land, and she's like, I'm just going to do land from now on. And she was wholesaling land. So she's driving around the neighborhoods in the Tampa area and find these little pieces of land in between our houses that were kind of left there, contacted people, and then wholesale land. One of the things that you're going to find out is that people are much more receptive in selling these random pieces of land in between places than than anything else, even properties themselves, because most of this land is honestly kind of forgotten. It's been left there and nobody's doing anything with it. So there is a lot of potential here with land. Like I said, you can wholesale it or you can buy this land to redevelop it yourself as well. Liz? Okay, so let's talk about money here. Let's talk about financing. So one of the things I did is seller financing. I've used this a lot for land. Again, you come across a lot of this land and they don't want to do anything with it, really. So even if, you say to them, okay, you want 5,000, 10,000 for this piece of land, let me go ahead and finance it from you. And then when I build my house or do whatever you're going to do with this land, I pay you off. There is very little resistance to seller finance land. I can tell you that right now. they do kind of a land contract or contract for deed. So there is a lot of things you can do virtually with land, and it's easier to do it than something, because when you have a building, right, you have to get inspections done. You need to sell boots on the ground over there to show the property. Land, you can just send somebody there. It's not going to go anywhere. You don't have to put a door or a lockbox on it. It's a piece of land. So, at the end of the day, maybe you have some clearing done if there is, trees or stuff like that. I've done that. It's not super expensive, but then you send somebody there. You don't have to have a boots on the ground or a lockbox or all of that. There are companies out there you can send. You can even look for companies, in Facebook Marketplace or Thumbtack or this. They go and take pictures for you. They can do survey on the land. You can do all kinds of things you don't have to do in person. So to virtually send land is actually much easier than do properties. Right? You can see how that makes sense, right? Okay, so exit strategy for land. So for example, like I said, you can go ahead and buy it and then rezone it and sell it, or you can buy it and sell it later. You can do a leasehold situation like they did in Hawaii. I was talking to one of the students yesterday, actually. She might be here tonight. I don't know if you're here. If you're here, I'm not going to say your name, but she had a really cool idea, because a lot of the things, like in Hawaii, the Catholic Church owned 80%, most of the land. I think almost all of it, honestly, 80% or more owned the land. And so they didn't want to sell it. And so they were leasing the land. But guess what? After the 55-year lease term, a lot of this land was coming. Either they were going to renew the lease, or some of them they did, but a lot of them, they say, we don't know yet, okay? So if you wanted to safeguard the house that you had on the land, you should have bought the land. So there are a lot of companies there that own the rights to the land, and you cannot get the land. So you can lease the land, especially in commercial. This works well with commercial property. Most of them lease the land. They don't actually own the land under the building, okay? And you can wholesale it, like you do with properties. But like I said, to do a virtual wholesaling with land is even better, because honestly, you don't need a lockbox. You need boots on the ground. You tell somebody, hey, go there and look at the land and see if you want it, right? So it's a much easier way of doing it virtually. Okay, so are you following me, everybody? I know I'm throwing so much information here so fast. Is this okay? If you give me the chat, this is good. What some of your takeaways? So some of the stuff that you liked about land investing.
They're loving it. I see all their faces and stuff. They're happy. You're throwing a lot out there, but it's all good stuff.
I'm not seeing the faces, guys, because I'm focusing on the slides. But here in a moment, when we don't share anymore, I would love to do a little more interaction. But it doesn't make sense. And how many of you are scared to do land, but now you see that maybe land is even better than doing properties? So, and this we can go, it doesn't have to be exclusive, okay? So now when you go out there and look for properties, like for example, when I do a search, one of the things I talk about, MLS strategy, agent referral, some of the strategies we talk under wholesaling, but what if you put residential, but also land? Don't discard land. Land is easier to wholesale than anything else, right? Yes, definitely. It's you can wholesale it, and people want land. People, developers, builders, they want land, or you can do it yourself, obviously, if you're in a situation you want to do new construction. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about some of the common challenges here. First of all, you have to find out what the zoning is, right? So when you come across a piece of land, before you can put a contract on the land just to kind of like anything else, put the contract, make sure you and the seller are on the same page. But then after that, you want to really research zoning. You want to find out what is going on. And there should be a contingency on the contract, by the way, okay? Because if for something there, you cannot do anything with this land, it's not buildable lot, or it's zoned for something that you have no use for, you can get out of the contract. So that's something should be